Aries, welcome to the channel. This is your love reading for the month of July, Aries. I have this awesome answers deck, and we're going to find out what your person doesn't like. So we're going to find out what they don't like when it comes to your relationship, your dynamic, and cross watcher. You can also find out like what it is that Aries doesn't like. So these messages can be interchangeable. If it's not you, Aries, it's them, vice versa. Remember that this is a game, okay? If it doesn't resonate, just leave it behind. The idea here is just to have fun and to entertain. All right, so what messages do we have for Aries spirit? What is it that their person does not like? What is it that Aries person does not like? All right, we kind of got a lot, Aries, but we got disrespects my time, which is understandable, okay? Because when you know, the time is money, you know what I'm saying? So if someone is disrespecting your time, I understand why, you know, somebody would not appreciate this, okay? So disrespects my time. All right, let's get some messages for you guys. Let me get myself, I'm always, you know, it ain't even much on the table, but for some reason I cannot keep myself organized. I'm not sure, you know, what that's all about. All right, so let me get my glasses. Let's get these cards out and see what messages we have here. So let's get some clarification, all right? But in the meantime, you know, let's talk about this a little bit before we start pulling any clarifiers. So let's see, your person is kind of feeling like they don't like the way you move on your time, all right? That's basically what this card represents, right? You know, they don't like the way you move on your time, you know. Almost like, yeah, I mean, let me see if I can word this right. So it's like they don't like the way you move on your time, not the time, okay? If that makes sense. It's like, I almost feel like for some of you, you could cancel plans, you know, at the last minute, or you fail to make them as a whole. You know, you may just kind of get up and just want to do things on a whim. You like, say for instance, you may just wake up and roll out of bed and be like, let's just go do such and such, and your person is like, yeah, but I got other things to do today, and you may be like, yeah, I don't care, you know, kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like they don't like the way you move on your time, you know, and not like the time. Like, in other words, you should just be a more mindful of time in itself, right? Because, you know, you have to spend time wisely, right? Time is a thief. I always say that, you know, so you have to respect it and you have to use it wisely. So like I said, like it could be where, you know, somebody could cancel plans, maybe show up late. For some of you, your person could just simply ghost you, right? Or just delay things without explanation. You know, they show up late and be like, "Dang, what took you so long?" And, you know, how people stand there and just be like, "Well, I'm here." You know, like just absolutely no respect, you know, for other people's time. And this is what, you know, your person, you know, doesn't like. And to them, it kind of feels like your time matters more than theirs, okay? So you know, your person is, you know, feeling that kind of way. I kind of feel like Aries, your energy kind of burns like hot and fast, okay? But when it comes to other people's needs, a lot of times you guys can tend to kind of slow down. And I'm not coming at you right now, okay? There is plenty to go in on about me. I'm an Aquarius, you know, we get trashed all the time. Okay, and that's fine. You know, sometimes the truth hurts, but nevertheless, you know, it's the truth. Who cares, right? So it's just that. Like Aries, you know, your energy burns hot and fast. And when it comes to other people's needs, you know, sometimes you can kind of slow down, stall out, you know, a little bit, or even lose interest, right? And this is how your person is feeling, and this is what, you know, they kind of, you know, don't like. It's like they're tired of waiting while you decide when you're ready to show up, or when you're ready to get ready, or when you're ready to simply just go. Aries, I'm sorry, this is funny. And so, yeah, so this is how they feel like, you know, that, you know, you kind of just, you know, disrespects you know, their time. What else am I thinking here? I don't know. We're gonna pull some clarifiers to see, like, you know, what's up here. But this is, I don't know. It's cute because I don't feel like these cards are gonna get all dramatic like some of the, you know, other cards that have come out in this deck. But you know, it's just funny. So yeah, like, I don't know. Bottom line is your sense of urgency. The bottom line is they don't like your sense of, you know, urgency. You know, it's only like, um it's almost like they don't like your urgency. You know, it's almost like it only slows up, right? When it only slows up when you want something. You know, it's kind of like your person's feeling like, it's like you're full of energy, you're always moving, I can see that. But when it comes to other people's plans, needs, or timelines, it's just a stall for you, like a complete shift, or simply it just doesn't matter. And I know I said this before, but I just want to reiterate on that because I feel like this is going to be a short message. Your person feels like you operate on your own clock. Okay. And then they feel like they're constantly rescheduling their life to kind of fit into your unpredictable nature, okay, or your unpredictable rhythm. I feel like they show, like, your person shows up ready, you know, and always willing, and you know, and they it kind of feel like, you know, they're there for you, right? But you arrive when it's convenient for you. And I think they just want you to be a little more flexible. All right, Aries, you know, this isn't, you know, a bad reading at all. And it's definitely something that maybe, like, if this is you, like, you could be mindful of, or cross-watcher. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, be respectful and mindful, you know, of other people's times. I mean, if this is the least problem that you have in a relationship, it's not that much of a big deal. So, you know, I kind of like this card because some of the other cards were, like, really, you know, a little deep. But I feel like your person, like, waits, you know, while you chase the next level of distraction. So you could have a family, you could have a busy job, you know, or a busy career. So you could be, like, kind of focused on what it is that you need to get done. And when you do have a little bit of free time, you know, you might kind of just be like, okay, let's go, I'm ready. And your other person is like, well, damn, I'm busy now. And, you know, your person kind of feels like, yeah, I don't really, like, care. Like, to them, it feels like their time, like, kind of doesn't matter because, like, in your world, you know, it's Aries first, okay, and everyone else will get dealt with eventually. You know, Aries, I like your style, right? Because I feel like that's stress free. It's selfish, but I do feel like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a stress free kind of environment. It's like, look, I'll get to it when I can. I mean, of course, Aries, be respectful of other people's time, but I guess but I don't know, there's a level of simplicity, you know, to the energy that I'm feeling here, okay? So pretty much what they don't like, you know, isn't necessarily your fire. They love the fire about you. There's something sexy, there's something magnetic and confident. That, you know, so this ain't all bad. Like, they love that. Like, they love your confidence, right? They love the way you look, the way you smell, the way you exist. They truly do. You know, so again, you know, what they don't like, you know, isn't your fire, okay? It's that you don't always stop to notice, like, who's burning out waiting for you. Okay, Aries, that's kind of that's pretty much it. When it comes to that, and again, like I said, like, this is the least of your issues. So be it. You know what I'm saying? They just don't like that everything runs on your schedule, okay? You move fast when you want something, but like I said, you know, kind of slow down when, you know, somebody else may need you, probably because you burned the hell out. I'm gonna say that. Like, but to them, it feels like, you know, that time isn't sacred, you know, unless it's your time, you know what I mean? So let's see what other messages we have to clarify some of this. I don't even feel like I need to even get any more, but I will, right? All right. What else do we have here? I want to see, like, the wheel or something. I don't know. I just, you know, look at that. I feel like, you know, you kind of, you know, some of you could be burning the candle from both ends. Just saying, you could be working hard, you know, things like that. Lots of communication. You know, I like this nine here. Okay, so let's just take a second to, like, meditate on these cards. Whew, I'm out of breath. So for clarification, we have the Four of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, the Knight of Wands, and the Nine of Cups, okay? So let's see how these messages kind of clarify this time issue that we have going on here. So at the bottom of the deck, we kind of had this Two of Swords, right? And sometimes this can represent, mindfulness, right? Just being mindful, of other people's time, okay? Being mindful that, your clock is ticking, but it's also ticking for, your person too, because, this is kind of something, like I said, they're not really vibing with. But let's talk about the Four of Pentacles, okay? The Four of Pentacles represents holding back. It represents controlling energy. This particular card, this energy, it doesn't like to be rushed. Just, look how he's just sitting here like, I get up when I feel like it, right? It kind of just has that energy. And I feel like that's you, Aries. No shade, but seriously, like, so, that's the Four of Pentacles. It's like the energy of holding back, controlling energy. It doesn't like, to be rushed or pushed, and honestly, like, Aries may be, guarding, your time right now. Like, you could be guarding your time right now, your space right now, your priorities, but in a way, to others that may feel like selfish or dismissive, okay? So, we want to be mindful of this energy, okay? We have the Ten of Swords, and this also represents, like, painful endings, betrayal, emotional burnout, someone who may feel used or abandoned or worn down in some way. Sometimes, like, if there's an inconsistent presence or a lack of maybe following through. So Aries, your person may be feeling like, when it comes time to you making time, for them, you don't really have a lot to give. Now, this could be for a multitude of reasons. Like I said, I said earlier, I feel like you're burning a candle from both ends. Okay, so you could be kind of worn out. So your person may be like devoting all the time in the world to you. However, like, by the time you allot time to them, you probably tired. You know what I'm saying? So that could be it as well. Let me see here. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I had to send that message. And I just took a quick break here. Let me get a sip. I am so sorry. I am so dry and dehydrated. So as I was saying, like, your person may feel like by the time you get, time for them, you're kind of worn out. But if you're working and you have a family, like, it kind of turns into that. So let's talk about the Eight of Wands, okay? The Eight of Wands, you see that fast movement that I was talking about earlier, Aries, like that fire, that's in you, because the Eight of Wands does represent fast movement, rushing, quick communication. It's kind of that Aries energy, right? It comes in fast and then it kind of leaves, kind of quickly. And this kind of adds to the sense of the impulsiveness that I think that your person is feeling, right? Like, they only show up, like I said, when you feel like it, not necessarily when you're needed all the time. So if I can say something here, Aries, I feel like your person, make sure you're giving them a little bit of a break. I can see where you're working really hard too. And but I feel like so is the person that, your significant other or whatever it is that you're dealing with, right? They're working just as hard as you. And in the end, particularly with this Nine of Cups, I'm really feeling this Nine of Cups, because despite all of the activity that is going on between the two of you, look at the energy you're still in. You're still in this Nine of Cups energy, which, speaks of like emotional satisfaction. Okay, could be possibly a little self-centered, but still, it's here. So, Aries, like, if this is, it's kind of seeing when this card relates to you, like it's kind of seen as putting your own happiness first, even if it's at the cost, you know, of someone else's peace. So just again, be mindful of that, okay? And remember, like I said, reverse the roles, okay? I'm not trying to be one-sided, you know, or anything, but I want to at least be honest, because part of tarot is all about truth, honesty, healing, and sometimes we don't always see, you know, our shadow side, or, you know, I don't know, but you know, it's just make sure that, you know, this Nine of Cups is coming from a place where both of you are sharing this energy, okay? That, you know, because you have a lot of blessings around you. There's a lot of fulfillment around you. I like this. I like it. I like it a lot. You know, just make sure you're balancing out those energies, okay? So just to reiterate, before we move on to some of our oracle cards, you know, this person, you know, your person just doesn't really like that, you know, you move fast when it's about you, okay? But then you kind of slam the brakes, you know, sometimes when they need something, okay? It's almost like you hold your energy tight. You know, I can see where you're guarding your schedule, because I can see that you're busy. You know, I see that. And, you know, you kind of show up sometimes, or your person feels like you may show up sometimes only when it benefits you, okay? So this energy kind of has left your person feeling pushed aside, kind of like their time, you know, was at a pit stop, you know, on your way to something better. All right. So just, you know, just be mindful of your person's feelings, okay? You know, so, you know, it's kind of just like I said, like you move fast when it serves you, but you kind of stalls when it doesn't. I know I keep reiterating that, but this is a real thing. You don't want your person, you know, to burn out, okay? So let's see what other messages we can add to this, all right, to this beautiful reading, because it actually is a nice reading, okay? So we have broken, we have healing, yeah, I see it, and look at that, we have a breaking point. Oh, you know, so I'm not even bothered by any of this. Can you have twin flame, you know, on the bottom of the deck? And here's why none of this bothers me at all. These words kind of seem a little heavy, but I can tell you this, right? You know, whoever you're with, this is your person, okay? You guys mirror each other in a way that a lot of people will never get to see. You know, you literally balance each other, all right? And I love to see this here. Now, like I said, and I know I repeated this like multiple times throughout the reading about, you know, making sure that you're balancing out your time, balancing out responsibilities, allowing each other to have a time to rest, to take a break. If you have a family, if you have children, make sure you are evenly distributing like the weight, okay? You don't want one person to become more exhausted than the other, because what happens is, you know, that's how relationships start to fall apart. And right now you are legitimately with what this deck feels as though is your twin flame. Okay, like I said, like this is very hard to find two souls that meet up, that really vibe with each other, get each other's quirkiness, and just love all of the strange things, you know, things that may have irked another, you know, people in past relationships, right? If you snore, your past relationship probably hated it. Like, you know, the relationship you in now, like they record your snoring at night and play them as lullabies, right? Like when you're not around, like, I don't know, like that's just how I'm feeling. So just make sure that, you know, you are making sure that no one's overwhelmed, right? It says overwhelmed. We want to make sure that, you know, you know, share the energy in the house equally. Okay, so that no one ends up broken, no one ends up at their breaking point, things like that. Allow each other time and space to go get some reprieve, some rest, some sleep, some naps, things of that nature, okay? Because we don't want the energy to end up here. All right, let's get one more card for Aries, and then we're going to end this reading, okay? Your person doesn't like that you disrespect their time, but I tell you, they love you to death, okay, Aries? So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like your message, and I'll see you in the next video.